Hello everyone, my name is Sharon Milne Barbour and I run Quantum Trance Healing. I am a leading knowledge of trance. It has been my journey for the last few years and it's been an amazing journey, and I've had the privilege to work with an amazing celestial guide team. And a couple of years ago they've said to me, we're going to teach you about quantum and we're going to teach you about quantum trance, which is the evolutional path for humanity. Now I thought, wow, and they did. And it is now in my second edition of my trance book. So it's got all the basic trance stuff in I put in the first one, but it's now been elevated to the quantum understanding of the evolution of humanity and the evolution of trance, because trance is changing. Now, for you out there who teach it, for you who are advanced trance sitters, and your guides have not yet told you about the quantum change, then it's time you wake up and you listen. I suggest you get the book and read it, because that is the starting point. Now, I had someone approach me a few weeks ago who's a very respected trance sitter and teacher, who said, I've been told to contact you by my guides because all I keep getting is the word quantum, quantum, quantum. Please can you tell me what quantum is and what it means to trance? So I did. And she started to see why her guides had brought her the word and why she wanted her to come to me for the teachings of the quantum understanding. Now, her guides could tell her this, but what we have to remember with guides is they are of each of an individual evolutionary period themselves. Our individual trance guides have different knowledge and different understandings, and if you sat 4 trance communicators in a room, asked them to go into trance and asked them the same questions, the likelihood is the guides would come back with a different level of understanding to that question and a different angle, a different take on it, which is fine, because that's how we will change. That's how we will evolve. We as individuals on earth, humans, are all at certain levels of development. The example I give on this is I've been writing books for over 12 years, and my first book, Utopia, is here, and my latest workbook, Starseed, The Discovery of Your Starseed, is up there, and all my other books stagger down through to the evolution of people's understanding. It doesn't mean you're thick or reading Utopia and the other person who's ready to read that one is more intelligent. It's all to do with the evolution of our understanding, our core understanding, how we change and how we develop our spiritual path or here on earth. Some of us will leave here not up at that level. Others will grow from that level to that level. Some others might come in at that level and excel and bring more amazing teachings to humanity, which would be wonderful, which is what it's all about. So our guides are working really hard with us at the moment to change trance. Now, there used to be a time when I sat in so many workshops and people said to me, you don't need to know who your guides are, it's all about trusting. Don't believe in aliens, guides aren't aliens. Don't believe in elementals, what a load of rubbish. But I tell you, you need to change your way of understanding. You're at the lower level of the trance teaching and the trance communication. Now, you might not like me saying that, but how else do I get it out there to people that this is the change for humanity? Quantum through the trance is all to do with telepathic communication. All your guides telepathically communicate through you from the subconscious, as there's a chakra portal point here. They come through. In the early stages of trance, they look at your brain, your information in your brain, and they communicate using what you've got, your senses, your feelings, your emotions of life. As you grow into deeper trance, they will start to bring through new knowledge, new information from the quantum domain's creative intelligence source in the universe. And this comes in on a stream of energy. So if you're a light worker, channeler, communicator, or you're a trance communicator, and you do not remember your sessions, you do not remember your readings to people when you're not in trance as well, that's because it comes in on a stream, it's held for so long, and then it goes. We're not supposed to remember them. We remember the person we did the reading to, but the information does not have to be held, and that's what trance is like. And that's why we record it. But saying that, they're now changing the evolution of trance. They want us to start to know who our guides are. They want us to recognize their frequency, how they come to us, how they communicate with us, light, harmonic sound, color. There's all of this knowledge coming in. The quantum energy of the universe, what is that? How does it work with our guides? How does our guides use it? And they want us to learn this because they want us one day as a race of human beings about to sit in front of my computer or my garden, wherever I am, and telepathically be able to go, right, I want to speak to so-and-so who's on the other side of the galaxy at the moment. Or somebody who's in Australia, but I'm not going to speak to them on a phone or on my computer. I'm going to telepathically communicate with them. The light language of the universe, if you haven't heard about light language, then it's time you learn about it as well, because that's coming through in trance, it's coming through in communication, it's coming through in people doing writings, and then the frequencies of those writings are holding light codes, giving out information and healing. Now, light language in the universe is a frequency. It's not how I'm speaking now. It's mind to mind. And they're coming through trance sitters with this light language, and we're hearing noise, we're hearing what we think is not English or no language on earth, and it's the word language of it. Now, we don't have to understand what that word language is from the hearing point of view of, like I'm talking to you now. It is the frequency it's coming through at. So the advice is that if somebody is in trance and they start to speak this light language tone, and it sounds like words or things you don't understand, is you actually shut your eyes and you listen to it that way, because it's a frequency, and it can be a healing frequency, or there could be a message that's coded into you. You don't always have to understand what it is, to be honest. But I have recently, in the last 24 hours leading up to this, spoken to somebody who's been doing this for a while, and they've started to put on their hands on the light language they've written, and they're now getting the information of what it and translating it into English and getting the meaning of it and what they are trying to bring through to us. Now, this light language is going to become more and more in trance. So the teachers of trance need to start to understand what it is that's coming through. If you're a teacher of trance, if you're not sat in trance, then I would very strongly advise that you start to develop your own trance with the understanding of what's ahead of you and ahead of your students in this. Because it's really important that you understand the process of what is being said here and what our guides are trying to teach us. If it's not been brought to you yet, it means that you're very close shop on the idea of what celestial beings are, how elementals help us. And it's just time to start to think, well, let's start thinking out of the box. Let's start understanding who these beings are. Now, they're going to show themselves more in overshadowing of their true form. And I've started putting pictures up on my Quantum Trance Healing Facebook page. And I've also got a blog on my Quantum Trance Healing site I've put up this week. And they have asked me to start doing overshadowing with their work, with my work, with my guys, and blending more and sitting more with them rather than me just teaching and everything else I'm doing. And the results have been amazing. They're using this new blue frequency light, and digitally it's picking it up. and you can see the form. I saw my Telecan guide. He has a very long form face. He's a Terrier, and the head sort of shapes like that. We then saw my Salatorian guides, who you originally showed himself as John, who was a professor of science in Philadelphia in the 50s, and he passed in the late 50s, and he was also late 50s in age. So he's a light being from a conscious collection of beings, a collective as they call them in a realm. And he first of all shows himself as his human form he had on Earth, and is the only one out of the 5 that worked with me from that race of beings that have had an Earth life. So he shows me as his Earth life, and he had a moustache, and that comes through really clearly. And then at the end we had a race of beings that was part of the Egyptian period. They came in, and the overshadowing changed again, and the light, the brightness of the light with them, and that was quite amazing to observe as well. It's becoming more powerful, and they're bringing in new frequencies for that. So if you're teaching or you're a student asked to do more overshadowing work, you want dark. I've just done mine in the dark with a very faint light of a computer. I haven't got any other lighting in the room, and somehow my guides have created this energy for the overshadowing. So there's so much changing in trance now, and the main change is you've got to start to get to know who your guides are. They want to start talking to you, telling you where they're from, so there's no fear around them anymore. They're going to stop showing themselves as Red Indians and whatever Earth life they've had, and they're going to start showing themselves as their true form, which can be a physical ascension, celestial being, or a light, multi-dimensional, transitional being. Don't be afraid is all I can say to you, and trust in this. Now this teaching that's come to me, which is now all in this version of this book, part of it is also some activation codes. Because how many of you are aware of your ethereal light body connected to the quantum domain? How many of you have actually ever connected to the quantum domain? I'm not talking about your guides, I'm talking about you, your ethereal body, your conscious being, and then the energy of the quantum domain that surrounds us and creates everything that's in the universe. If you haven't, you're being left far behind. The other thing which is good to do is then have the soul plan and higher self connection, because that is separate again to the guides that work with you every day for your trance or your work of communication or healing. So there's activation codes in here as well. So the book just brings so much knowledge to you. I'm running a Thursday advanced trance group now online. And one of the members who only came recently said to me, "Oh, you've got a real niche in this show. No one else is doing this quantum trance, what you're doing. You've heard of quantum healing or quantum trance healing, but actual trance, the everyday, what people understand as everyday trance." And I said, "But it's not for me to hold on to. This knowledge is for everyone." So I'm sharing it. It's, if your guides aren't quite ready to bring it to you, they'll bring it to you through my guides and my book. If you keep getting the word quantum and things keep popping up and you're thinking, "Well, I'm not ready for this, I don't want to change what I'm doing, I've taught like this for 30 years, why should I change now? My guides must be correct." Your guides have been correct up to 2 years ago. But now evolution is changing. We're in the quantum era. Humanity's awakened. The earth energy is split in two. We've got the new earth line and the old. And if you're still teaching away from quantity, not accepting celestial beings and elemental energies, you're on the old line. You want to be on the new line of teaching now. And your students will be open to it. And if they're not quite ready, then you split your teaching up into the older style of teaching to introduce them to trance, and then you slowly introduce the higher level of teaching as your students grow and understand. And that is being a teacher knowledge of trance, that is very key to understand that there is different levels of teaching of trance, and the quantum's the top level now of the understanding. But what I've been told by my guides is slowly introduce it from beginner's level. So all new beginner's level workshops I run now, all beginner students that come to me for individual trance will be hitting at the quantum level, but it'll be introduced in a way that it's subtle and it brings them the understanding from day one. And then as they grow on their trance journey, it will get better and better. The people I've spoken to who've had the activation codes that's in the book and everything that's gone on around that have said to me, wow, my trance has changed. I can feel the connection. I feel my guides more. I'm understanding it. I'm feeling, they've just elevated. And they've walked through that doorway of trance evolution. So don't get held behind, guys. Make sure you are part of this change, because, when it was first brought to me, I said to them, my guys, well, I've been taught like this for so many years, and this is how I've been teaching, but no, it's changing. And I was brave enough to take that step on that step ladder, and thank God I did, because I can now bring it out to all of you and change your teachings, help your students. Let's help humanity evolve. Let's get that telepathic part of us evolving. Let's change this world for the better. So I'll leave all that with you guys. Enjoy your trance journey, your quantum trance journey. I'm an email away. I'm a message away if you need to ask questions. The book answers the questions, basically. It's only £12. I sell it on Amazon and I sell it on Etsy, and I have them in my house as well. So if you don't like to use those online facilities, you can message me, pay postage, pay for the book. I'll post it out to you. I've done that for a couple of people this week who've ordered stuff off me that way, and they're more comfortable with that, which is great, is however it suits you. So take care, enjoy your quantum journey.